I have lived through September 11th, the 2008 financial crash, a 1,000-year flood, a global pandemic, and now I am watching potentially the makings of another world war unfold in real time on my phone while I eat dinner. And I am a millennial, not even that old in the grand scheme of things. And every single one of those once in a lifetime events, every single one of those was supposed to be a once in a lifetime event. And yet here we are collecting them like stamps. So if you've been feeling like the world is just going crazy and shaking and you do not know how to stand in the middle of it or what to do or how to plan in the middle of it, this video is for you, because I am not going to tell you to look on the bright side. I'm not going to tell you to turn off the news and pretend it's not happening. I'm going to show you something better than both of those horrible options. And this is actually a time where there's an ancient blueprint you can follow for how to build a real life when everything around you feels unstable and it's thousands of years old. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm a decision strategist and the author of Rest is the New Hustle. And on this channel, I help you see clearly and decide wisely and build a life that actually holds even when the ground is shaking, even when the world is going crazy. So if that sounds like something you need right now, hit subscribe. Here's what I have noticed. When the world gets scary, people tend to fall into one of three patterns or one of three camps. And all three of them look reasonable on the surface, but all three of them are traps that will cost you. All right. So the first pattern is what I call total absorption. This is the person who is glued to every headline and every, notification and every breaking news alert. They feel like they have to know everything that's happening because if they look away, they might miss something important. And that's how they're keeping themselves safe. So they scroll through all the news at midnight and they wake up and check their phone before their feet hit the floor and they're seeing what the latest thing is on social media. And here's what happens. Their nervous system never gets a break, never gets to relax and just breathe. Their thinking gets clouded. Their own decisions, the ones they actually have power over, get pushed to the side because of all their mental energy going to things they cannot control. They are informed, but they are paralyzed. The second pattern is what I call total withdrawal, right? This is the person who says, I cannot deal with this. It's too much. So they turn off everything. They turn off the news. They go hide in their bunker. They don't want to have any conversations about what is happening. Zero engagement. They build a bubble and they stay inside of it. And for some people, that works for a while. But if you are someone who cares and cares deeply, if something in you feels responsible, feels like you should be doing something, withdrawal does not feel like peace. It feels like guilt. You are safe inside the bubble, but you don't feel right about it. And, you're protected, but you're also disconnected. And then we have the third pattern, which is also a trap that I call total involvement. So this is the person who throws themselves into every cause and every conversation and every crisis. They want to help, they want to make a difference. They care deeply, and that is beautiful. But here's what I've also seen with this group of amazing hearts, right? When you try to carry the weight of every single problem of the world, you stop being able to carry the weight of your own life. Your own decisions get neglected. Your own health suffers. Your own relationships suffer. You are so busy trying to save the world that you forget to build the life you are actually responsible for. And these types of people are highly engaged, highly helpful, but also burning out. So here's the question. If total absorption and total withdrawal and total involvement all have this cost to you, what is the fourth option? What are you supposed to do in the middle of all this madness we call life when all these events are happening and keep happening, and every day there's something new? I want to take you to a moment in history that is so similar to right now, it's almost eerie. About 2,600 years ago, there was a group of people who had just lost everything. Their country had been conquered, their homes were gone, their temple, the center of their entire identity, had been destroyed. They were taken to a foreign land, surrounded by a culture that was not theirs, living under a government of oppression that they did not choose. And everything they knew was gone. And they asked the same question a lot of us are asking right now, which is, what am I supposed to do? Like, with all this devastation, like, what am I supposed to do? And here's what's wild. The answer they got was not what anyone would expect. It was not fight. It was not run. It was not throw yourself at the enemy as hard as you can every single day for every moment of your life. It was not wait for things to get better. The answer was this, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is from the ancient book of wisdom, the Bible, Jeremiah chapter 29. What those people were asked to do was to build houses, plant gardens, start families, put down roots, seek the good of the place where you are, even though you did not choose to be there, because the peace of that place is connected to your peace. In the middle of all this devastation and war and conquest and loss and ups and downs, in the middle of all the uncertainty about whether things would or could ever go back to normal, the instruction was not wait for the storm to pass. The instruction was build in the middle of the storm. I want to give you a name for this pattern because the first three patterns have names. We have total absorption, total withdrawal, and total involvement. And this fourth option deserves one too. I call it intentional participation. Intentional participation means you are not checked out. You are also not drowning in every little whim of this world. And you are also not burning yourself down trying to fix it all. You are choosing on purpose what you give your attention to, what you act on, what you release. You are participating in the world with your eyes wide open, your foundation intact, and that's not avoidance. That is the wisdom that you have. Here's why that matters for you right now, today, this week, because I think a lot of us are waiting. With all that's going on, we're waiting. We're waiting for things to calm down and go back to normal, whatever that is, before we make our next move. We're waiting for the economy to settle before we take that risk or start that business. We're waiting for the world to feel safe before we invest in something new. We are waiting for some signal that says, now it's okay to build. You've got this. But that signal is not coming. Not because things are hopeless, but because this is what life has always looked like. There have always been periods of peace and periods of war and earthquakes and pandemics and financial crashes. There has never been a perfectly stable moment in human history where all conditions of all things were right for you to start building. That moment does not exist, and it definitely does not exist in our modern world, even if there was some magical time where it did. So the people who are building remarkable lives today are not the ones who are waiting on the chaos to stop. They are the ones who decided to build anyway. And so here is the reframe I want you to hear, friend, because this is the part that changes how you think about all of it. You cannot control what is happening in the world. You cannot stop war. You cannot end war. You cannot fix the entire US economy or global economy by yourself. You cannot prevent the next crisis. That is not your job. But here is what is your job. Your life, your decisions, your foundation, your family, your work, your community, your future. The people in your circle who need you to be steady, the neighbors who could use your help, the place you live that needs you to show up. That is your responsibility, and that responsibility does not pause just because the world is loud. The chaos does not get to decide what you build. You do. Now, I want to be really, really clear about something. because I am not saying ignore what is happening. I am not saying do not care and be your own individual bubble. Caring is important. Awareness matters. If you are someone who wants to make a difference in the world, that is good. Keep that. But here's what I am saying. You get to intentionally decide your level of participation, and that decision is a decision most people never make on purpose. They just react. The news grabs them, they absorb it all, and the guilt hits, so they throw themselves into everything. And then overwhelm comes and they suffer personally and they shut it all out, right? None of those are decisions. Those are reaction. And I hope from this video, you're inspired to become not just a person who reacts, but a person who decides. So decide. That is what intentional participation looks like. You choose what you engage with. You choose what you carry, how much and when. You stay aware of when things are too much for you or when things are too little for you. You choose what you build. You choose how to build, not by default, but on purpose. I have a couple questions that will help you become an intentional participant in your own life. So question 1 is, what am I absorbing that I have no power to change? Okay, be honest. How much of your mental energy is going to things you cannot actually affect? Not things you care about, but things you can affect. Because caring and affecting are two different things. You can care very deeply about something and still recognize that scrolling for 3 hours a night is not helping anyone, especially you, about that topic, right? Caring is not the same thing as passively consuming, and consuming without acting is draining your own tank for no return. So the next question you want to ask yourself, question 2, is, what am I neglecting to do that I have the power to change? While you've been watching the world go crazy and melt down and reappear, what in your own life has been sitting there waiting for your attention? Is it a career move you know you need to make? A neighbor you know you could help? A relationship that needs a bit more of your presence and intentionality and care? A conversation you've been avoiding? What is in your hands that you have not picked up yet? Because the world does not need you to fix everything, but the people right next to you and you yourself need the best you to show up for the things that only you can do. The third question I have for you is to ask yourself this: what is in my hands? What do I have? Is it a talent? Is it a skill? Is it a gift? Is it a blessing? Something I have not used yet that could benefit others? Because we always feel our best when we benefit others, right? We always feel our best when we give. It helps us feel useful as human beings. We're meant to do life in community. And so intentional participation is not just about protecting your own peace and hiding from the world, right? It's about contributing from a place of strength instead of from a place of burnout, right? And so you have something. You definitely have something the world needs. And maybe it's your ability to think clearly under pressure. Maybe it's your ability to listen or make someone smile. Maybe it's a skill you've been sitting on because the timing just never felt right. But the need is already there. And question 4 is, can I afford to keep doing what I am doing right now? Okay, so look at the pattern you are in honestly. Can you afford to stay totally absorbed, glued to every headline, anxious every night, unable to focus on your own life? Can you afford to stay totally withdrawn, disconnected, or guilty, or pretending it's not happening, right? Can you stay totally involved, burning out, neglecting your own foundation, trying to carry all this weight that was never yours to carry? What does it look like in your life if 12 months from now you keep reacting to all this madness that we have going on instead of focusing on building your life? Be specific, because the cost of reacting versus intentionally participating is real. And it's a cost, it's an opportunity cost, even if no one sends you a bill for it. So what does it look like if you stay in this place? And then the last question I want you to ask is, what is the one thing I am going to build this year? The one thing I'm going to accomplish this year, no matter what happens in the world? This is the most important question. Not 5 things, not 10 things, one thing. What is the house you are going to build? The garden you are going to plant? The root you are going to put down? The seed you are going to sow so that you eventually have a harvest, right? Pick one thing that matters to you for your life or for your family or for your community and commit to building that this year, regardless of what the headlines say tomorrow or the day after that. So you have a harvest in the year to come and in the years to come after that. There's this beautiful verse that I keep coming back to. It's Ecclesiastes 11 verses 4-6, and it says it better than I ever could. Farmers who wait for perfect conditions never plant. Perfect conditions. You think about that. Farmers who wait for perfect conditions never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. What does this mean for you and me? Let that land. If you are waiting for perfect conditions to plant something in your life, to make that decision, to start that business, to invest or start that organization or contribute yourself in a certain way or invest in a new relationship or build your future, you will be waiting forever. The conditions are not going to be perfect. They never were. They never will be. If you're watching every cloud, watching this headline, watching that tea leaf, wondering about this, worrying about that, you'll never plant. But here's the thing. For beautiful things in your life to grow, the seed still needs to be planted and watered. If you are watching this and you realize that you need to build and you have fallen into one of these three traps of total absorption, total withdrawal, or total involvement, you need to realize that everything you want to change in your life starts with a decision. If you have been putting off what you need to do for yourself because of the chaos, if the chaos has been your excuse to not deal with something that's actually in your hands to do, I do have a limited number of From Confusion to Clarity decision strategy sessions each week. And the link is in the description. And that is what those sessions are for, to help you decide wisely. So I hope you'll take advantage of those sessions and that opportunity. But the questions I've given you in this video are a great start. And regardless, I just want to emphasize this. The world is falling apart. It has been falling apart for a very long time. And people in the middle of all of that have been building beautiful, meaningful, purposeful lives right in the middle of all that chaos for just as long. So you do not need the world to be okay in order for you to build something that matters. You just need to decide that the chaos does not get the final word over your life.